Okay, we are actually live. Hi, nice
Hi,
to see you.
nice to be here. Thanks for having me today.
Yeah, I'm excited to chat with you because so many reasons. But first of all, your products are so unique. And I have to say a big thank you because look what I got.
Mm.
Like, which way does it sort of read better? Maybe. Okay, yeah, it's backwards, but you get the idea. This is so cool. It's a smudge stick. And I'm going to be lighting mine too, because why not? Right?
Why not? We need it.
We do need it. This like end of the year for me has been quite a lot, I have to say. Like travel, I mean, Mimi gets it. She's like, yeah. So I'm here with Mimi from Maison Palo Santo, which is a beautiful brand that's all about Palo Santo. But she does things a little bit differently. So while I light this baby up, and actually, maybe you can even start by explaining the point of the smudge stick, the kind
Mm.
of, because I think that might help people get why we're doing this, but I need a little cleansing activity in my life. So, okay.
Perfect. Yeah. So thank you so much. My name is Mimi Dara. Yes, here, founder of Maison Palo Santo. And Palo Santo is such a beautiful aromatic plant, as the only plant that has to die first to get its healing properties and actual smell, its aromatics. It has really deep symbolism for new beginnings, right? So
I
every
didn't
time we
know
light a
that
stick,
I didn't know that it was the only plant that
mm,
had to die first. That's a really interesting fact.
yeah. So it gives it a lot of symbolism for this rebirth, this, new beginnings, what can happen through change, through metamorphosis, through rest, right? Any type of growth or transmutation or transformation. And the good news is that with the Palo Santo stick, we get to do it every day, right? And there's nothing like the sense of smell to connect to our
Yeah.
memory. So when we create a little ritual for
Oh,
ourselves
so
in our
good. Yeah.
apartment, in our home, or wherever it is that we are, we can just take a minute to relax. Literally, it takes both hands. I usually light mine with, one of the candles or something like that,
Oh,
but we
brilliant.
just
Yeah.
light it and then you can move around your space, you can move around yourself. I always like to move it around my hands and just say thank you, thank you, thank you for these hands that help me create
Love that.
everything and around my whole body. And then you just place it in a flame proof dish or wherever it is that you have, like a little incense holder or anything at all. It doesn't have to be fancy, but can be if you want. And it just allows you a moment of peace. It literally takes both of our hands to do it. And it not only cleanses energy like we would might use sage or something like that, it
Yeah.
actually helps us call in. So Palo Santo has this beautiful protective energy to it, allows us to call in our creativity and to really
Mm.
step into our true authentic expression. And we can't do that unless we're at peace, right? So there's a couple different layers. Create your ritual,
So
set your
many
sacred
layers.
space. Yeah, so a lot of different ways that you can use it, but the aroma
Love it.
itself is super minty and crisp and citrusy and very fresh and very earthy, but not like an herbaceous, like resiny earthy, but more like crisp and clean and pure smelling. I love it.
Smells amazing, I have to say. And now my house is going to smell so great.
Yeah.
I love it. But it is so interesting because it isn't just about the scent, because obviously people could buy other products, room sprays and whatnots. It's about like creating this whole ritual for yourself. And I think these days more than ever, I mean, some of the stats are shocking, and I know you probably know this better than me, but like loneliness is like depression, anxiety, all these things. And the younger generation is dealing with a lot of it. My kids have dealt with this and they haven't they've had only like the go, 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 go with social media, and they have not had the stop and pause. That, they've learned one lesson, which is like always on. And I think it's so important now to have brands sharing the alternative side of that, which is time for yourself, time to pause, time to recenter, all the things you said. So how much of that is driving what you do? versus just finding great scents? Or is it really a blend?
Well, I would say it's really about only about the experience, right?
Yeah.
Because our sense of smell is so personal. So if there's something, an aroma that brings you peace, it can still be incorporated into like a Palo Santo ritual or a self-care ritual. When we first started our brand, it was really about connecting to the forest and supporting the reforestation efforts of the dry tropical forest in Ecuador, close to my own home there, and the need for awareness in, giving back to communities, not just to the plants, but to the people who take care of the plants for products that we use in our everyday lives now, right?
Yeah.
Like coffee, like tea, like chocolate, like Palo Santo, like sage, like all of the things that sometimes we forget come from faraway places and take many, many thousands and thousands of hours to create so that we can use them every day. So we founded our brand with this mission to, bring awareness to that and make Palo Santo fun. So it wouldn't just only have to be a smudging stick, because sometimes you can't burn smoke. So you prefer to use a candle, or you want to create that vibe, or let's say it's just not allowed where you live, for example. So we created a whole line of products to support that. But within that journey, we found, and I can't believe you said that, because one of the things I talk about a lot now is this epidemic of loneliness.
Yeah.
And I almost, I experienced that too as a business owner. Sometimes it can be very isolating. And
Mm.
then, the global pause happened, and that was just like everybody was forced to isolate and kind of slow down for a minute. And it was actually through that pause, which was very symbolic with our Palo Santo journey. It was actually through that rest that we came up with this idea that we needed to connect people through this practice. And also, since I'm a yoga teacher and breathwork facilitator and meditation guide, I said, okay, how can I put these two things together? Since I know that some people are already using these products in their yoga studios, and it's really common to see them kind of everywhere now, that how can I put these together but make it fun? Right? Go places and also introduce myself to different stores. And I have a very close connection to restaurants because I was a waiter in New York City for a long, long time, and a bartender and a maitre
That's a
d'
whole discussion
and
in
a
and of
coat check
itself.
and and actually we have a book being published on February 18th called Sacred Spaces, that we get to start to hear my story about the transition from the restaurant to Palo Santo. But that's a whole other thing that I get to in a minute. But really, it was about this opportunity. We were living in Austin, Texas. We relocated from New York to Austin, and we're living in Austin, and the online sales were crazy. We were shipping things in brown paper bags, like lunch boxes. There was like no tape. It was so weird. It was just
Mhm.
a very weird time. And when things started opening back up on the Northeast, we decided that we would take a road trip from Austin. We were actually moving back up to New York, and we would take this road trip. And on the way, we would stop at restaurants and yoga studios. And I had a little soldering iron, and I would stop in the hotels, and I would go online, and I would look up the yoga studio, and I would look up the schedule, and I would write the teachers' names on the sticks, and I would show up and I would say, "Hey, I'm Mimi. This is a gift for you." And people were so emotional. They were crying. It was a really raw time where people were just starting to come back together. People didn't know how to act. It was so weird. There
Yeah.
was such a big difference between New York and Texas and blah, blah, blah. But the one thing that brought us together was this event that started out as teaching people about Palo Santo, about where it came from, a little bit about on the indigenous culture, the process, how we get to use it, and then we do some yoga. And over the past couple of
What's not to
years,
love, right?
like what's not
Like,
to love?
yeah.
Yeah, so it just became, and when people were asking me, "Oh my gosh, I love this, but what is it?" I was like, "Oh, not everybody knows what it is." And so my brain just started firing off, and we created what is now known as Palo Santo Sacred Journey, which is really a combination of all of our teachings, from
Mm.
vinyasa and yoga and the physical practice and meditation and breath work and music. And, we get the silent disco headphones out, and, we really embody the spirit of the Palo Santo tree, which is, like I mentioned earlier, very protective. And we get to become all guardians of this beautiful, beautiful, sacred botanical treasure, which is what it is, which hasn't even been imported or exported from Ecuador, rather, and imported into the US for that long.
Mm.
So, it's been a pretty short-ish period of time for the amount of impact that I feel that it's had in people's lives. And so I've just have found this wonderful opportunity, or maybe created this opportunity to share it with people in a way that's fun. So it's not just talking about the products, but it's about learning about them, experiencing them, really really kind of going through that change yourself. As our meditation moves, we shake off one of our branches, and then we get to lay dormant, and we get to rest, and we get to do sound healing, and we come out new and refreshed. And this is something that we can recreate with just the scent, the next day at home. Or I'm sure you've been to events and seminars and workshops and retreats where that's kind of need that bridge, because there's that kind of like, oh my God, I was in community, I was with my friends, I was with my peers. And then you go home and you kind of have that like little slump down, and you're like, okay, back to reality. I got to go back into my hovel and, do all of the work on the computer and all of the stuff. So we hope to create that bridge now between those community gatherings, whatever they are. And now, instead of just saying we plant seeds of Palo Santo, we say we plant seeds of inspiration
Oh, that's
as well.
amazing. I love that. There's so many things about your story that like we could spend hours talking about because it's
I
so
know. I love
interesting.
talking to you.
Well, it's just there's so much. Like it's like peeling the onion and there's layers and layers. I mean, starting with the whole like restaurants in New York, but we won't go there today because that's a little tangential. But I do
I need
think,
my therapist with me for that one too.
oh my God. And maybe we can do that on another one. Maybe we'll have a special. Actually, wouldn't that be fun if we just did an interview with a bunch of founders just talking about like
Waiter stories.
yeah, just like funny, crazy. Because I worked one of my first jobs, and this is all we'll talk about, and then we'll move on. Was at Bob Evans, which was like,
I know it.
do you know it?
Of
In
course.
In Chicago, my friend
I
and I
know
were
the
at Bob
brand.
Evans in between our sophomore and junior year of college. It was an experience, and that's all I'll say. So, anyhow, I want to talk a little bit about Ecuador though, because
Mm,
kind of glossed over it in your mention.
mm.
The reality is you have a very deep connection to Ecuador. It's not just like a random place that you
It's
stumbled
not a
on.
random place. My family lives there. My mom and my brother live there full time. We are not Ecuadorian. We are actually French, and
Oh, okay, that's
so we speak
interesting
French.
too.
Yes, so that's why the name of our business is Maison Palo Santo, because it's the house of
Okay.
holy wood. So it combines the two cultures that represent my life as well. And my co-founder is from Morocco, so we have a lot of different influence
Hmm.
within our company. And I'm really grateful for that, because it has allowed me to have different perspectives, having lived in
Yeah.
different places and with different cultures and different language and different backgrounds. And as we know, it's like life is just about like all the senses and all the feels. So Ecuador, I actually, one of my best friends in New York that we met at a restaurant, and we were traveling back and forth to Ecuador together, and we were very, very close. And I'm still close with her. She's in LA now. She just won her pro card for a bikini competition. She's in fitness and
Oh,
doing
wow.
fabulous things. And so I fell in love with Ecuador. And in the moment, I was really happy to go there to open a restaurant. So that's a whole, I was very hospitality driven, and I wanted to take the concept of one of the restaurants that I had worked at, which is pick your sauce, pick your fish, pick your sauce, pick your side dish, as part of this little retreat center that was opening up as part of a private apartment complex on the beach. So through a series of universal events, which include like people coming, closing beach access, people disappearing. The whole thing kind of fell flat before it could even get up. But money was invested, of course.
Yep.
And during that time, I was really, we were building a place there as well, with our family. So we were using it kind of as a vacation home and an Airbnb, and we were going through that whole process of just taking off our shoes and walking in the earth. I mean, it used to take me a week to be able to sit down when I got there. I used to do like organize events and have my clipboard, and I'd be ready at 4:30, and I was like on time, very New York and like with it. And I just got introduced to a whole new way of life where things were more about going with the flow. And
Yeah.
I was so like amazed by this, because I was like, whoa, like this is amazing. I love the feeling. but I love also being able to go back and share my experiences with my people in New York. So, in the beginning, I was hustling Palo Santo for my suitcase and bringing it back and forth to help me pay for the airplane travel, just selling it for $1 a stick on Etsy. I was like, I'm going to sell 1 million Palo Santo sticks this year for $1 a stick, not thinking about, ad
Right,
cost,
right.
shipping.
Yeah,
It's like
exactly.
probably owed them money at the end. Um, but it was really interesting because through that, we had an existing company business called Magic Carpets. If you can see behind me, we
Wow, those
used
are
to
gorgeous.
we used to design carpets, rugs, and have them hand woven for us. So we were already doing some creative work and doing some social good. We were funded by a nonprofit called kiva.org, which gives microloans to small businesses that
Yeah.
they're really cool. But anyway, so we got started with them with our whole Moroccan concept with the rugs and doing some work in a cooperative. And I was just like, okay, I can make cool things, I can make an impact. And slowly, things that had been more important to me in my life, it started to shift. And I wasn't able to handle some of the things that I had been handling as far as what my life was about, which was, being a professional servant. And there's nothing wrong with that because I loved my life and I loved my career and I love my people. And I'm still very good friends with, most of the people that I've worked with in my career in the restaurant world. But I was also like dabbling in something different.
Mm.
And it was really, really inspiring. And Palo Santo started to take control of my spirit. And I didn't know it was happening at the
Interesting
time,
way to talk about it.
but it was really allowing me to be who I was, which is a people person, a presenter, a speaker, a talker. I love to gather. I like to hang out. I like to party. I like to dance. I like to sing. I like to do everything. But I really wanted to do it in a way that I was making a deeper impact in the world because I was feeling like even though I was in one of the biggest places on the planet Earth, that my impact was really, really small.
Yeah.
And I talk about this in the book that one of my biggest fears is like my unfulfilled potential. And I just thought that I had something more to give. And I have a great partner and a great husband. And it was just he just backed me 100% to go full force into learning more about business, learning about e-commerce. He started a lot of these things and just opened the doors for me. And then I was able to continue that journey all the way to now. So we started Maison Palo Santo in 2016. And then in 2021, I went full time into
Yeah.
entrepreneurship or business ownership with the Palo Santo. So always guided by its spirit, which is really, I do really truly believe that it has protected me in so many ways.
Oh my God, what an amazing journey. And I love that you mentioned like how your husband was basically had your back. Because that's not always the case with founders. And what we do is crazy. Like, I don't think people realize like our day-to-day life is insane. I mean, this is my little house in Palm Springs, right? I usually don't show people my front
Oh
room.
yeah.
Can you see all those boxes?
Oh yeah.
Because it's like that is the reality of like you have to have inventory. And this isn't even, I mean, I don't ship the products out from here, but I need it for pop-ups for other stuff. So I've got stuff that
Absolutely.
I just need, and I do all we manage all the giveaways from here. My daughter helps me with that. And so we've got all the
Hmm.
boxes all lined up for each giveaway that we're doing. And it's like
Oh
it's
yeah.
it's crazy. So I don't think people realize the stress that being an entrepreneur can put on a relationship because there are times when my son actually, who's 23 now, he used to be like, we'd be, in Europe for 2 weeks on vacation, and I would be taking calls, and he'd be like, "Oh, do you have a clean beauty emergency, mom?" And I'm
Clean
like,
beauty
as a matter
emergency.
of fact,
Oh my God, I love this.
I know. And I'm like, as a matter of fact, I do. I do have a clean beauty emergency.
Right. Because they are emergencies. People don't understand. It needs to be handled right away. And it's just, there's nobody else to do it. It's you.
Nobody else
So
could
I
do
get
it.
it.
But the thing is, I think my family has come around. My husband has been incredibly supportive, and he did like what yours did, which was quit the corporate world, go do what you want to do, and it's really nice to feel like I don't have somebody on me about it. Like, why isn't the business more profitable? And why isn't it growing faster? And it's like, because there is a reality of when you're self-funded, It's a slow burn. Pardon the Palo Santo pun, but
Right.
so that is just the reality.
I've been
But
bootstrapping this baby since the beginning. So I
exactly,
get it. I
and that's
totally get it.
it's tough. And my son came back for Thanksgiving and he's here, and I booked a live stream on Palm Street on Thanksgiving Day. And he's literally like, "Are you kidding me?" And I go, what am I? I'm just sitting waiting for the turkey. Like, why
Right.
not?
Yeah,
So
I
he
have to do
said,
it. I want to be with my
right.
community.
So he was like, "Well, I'm going to make you a deal. If you don't get more than 10 viewers in the first like 10 minutes, then you have to shut the show
Okay.
down." And I'm like, "Okay, fine." So I started, and not only did I have like 20 viewers, I started getting sales, and he was floored. So anyway, so
Wow.
it took me maybe 20 minutes. I think I had like 6 or 7 sales. And he was like,
That's
I,
awesome.
he literally said, "I take it back. That was pretty amazing." And I'm like, 20 minutes. It wasn't like I'm taking up the whole day and.
Right.
So anyway, my point of that long, boring story was just to share that like our families do get impacted by all the stuff we're doing. So if they're on board, like it sounds like your partner, your
Oh
husband.
yeah. And he's actually, he's a real partner in the business as far as, he is the perfumer. He formulated our
Wow.
luxury fragrance and he has created all of the formulas as far as like he has the patience to do all of the testing and all of the hard work when it comes to creating the product. Because we create every single product on our own. We've formulated everything on our own. And he's the driving force behind that, which is a good thing because I'm more of give me the product and send me out.
I'm more like you. I don't think I'd have,
Yeah,
because it's also like there's a lot of trial and error
a
because
lot.
I have my little candle business. It's my stepchild business, Il de
Sure.
Nature. And when we were making that, it would be like, okay, now the scent's not strong enough. Now the scent's too
I
strong.
know.
Now there's not enough beeswax. Now there's not, and it does, people don't realize it's not, they think making candles is super easy, but there is a
It
science.
takes time.
Yeah.
It
And
takes
it's
time to do the testing.
chemistry and putting the right stuff in there and the right recipes so that it comes out, the throw of the scent is the way you want it and all that stuff. So it is a little bit, so that's pretty incredible that you've got that built
You
in to
just
your
made me think of, sorry to cut you off before
yeah,
I
yeah.
forget, is our first candle that we ever made. We used to do the testing and the fancy tuna jars? Like
Uh,
the Ventresca, they're like glass and you can
oh
buy
yeah,
like
yeah.
tuna fillets in them.
Yes.
So we would clean off the label, we would soak them, we would clean them, and we would buy beeswax from the 14th Street Farmers Market from the guy named Andrew, Andrew's Honey. And I remember his thing was he would have his hives on the top of like on rooftops in Manhattan. And so my first candle line was like combination of New York City rooftops and essential oils from Morocco. And we were doing these like really cool, like Arabian style candles, and
Oh,
we
I
learned
love
how to
that.
do it. And then we started using the Palo Santo. Um, yeah, and then we focus on that. But it is definitely, it takes some time to do the testing. I
It
get it.
does. It's
It
not that
does.
straightforward. You really do have to,
Hmm.
so let's talk about your products. So now you do
Sure.
have a candle.
Yeah. We have
Um,
we got a bunch of different candles. We've got a couple different types of branding. All of our product, this might be upside down, but
no, I got
um,
it. I love
okay.
that.
Yeah, all of our products come with positive messaging. So going back to the experience, the texture, and actually even on the box, this is my husband here and this is me. And
Oh my
I don't
God,
know.
love
I think
that.
his picture came out better, but I actually drew this in the Guggenheim in the museum, very inspired with my iPad. And then we went to the Carlisle Hotel and had champagne. And it was, a very New York moment,
Oh my
during the
God, that is
holidays.
such a New York.
But but we have a line of candles. We call these the Eco Lux line. Everything is recycled packaging with, positive messaging, and the Palo Santo sticks to match. And you can download meditations that go right to your phone from the packaging and
Oh, I
read
love
a little
that.
story about us. And each product represents support of Pachamama, of the dry tropical forests, of the people who not just monitor the trees because Palo Santo is very special. It can't be farmed in rows. It requires an entire ecosystem, a very symbiotic relationship with the birds and the wind and the rain and the sun and the moon. And so it also has symbolism for us as people. So when we created our event, when we get to use our products and anoint with the oil and connect to the spirit and connect to each other in a group setting, we can share the vibration, we can share the frequency, right? This like unseen feeling that sometimes we forget to tap into because life gets us really, really busy, and we forget that we are more than just, the conditioning of going to work, making money, going home, going to the supermarket, blah, 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 take care of the family and everything. So it's our greatest wish that through these products, people can have the full experience. So from the texture, when they open, from the smell, from the sound, from the meditation, to hopefully how they'll feel. And then even in communication, it's our hope that it might spark an idea, just something. Maybe it's something you've been thinking about doing forever. When I quit my job at the restaurant, I was 35. And I was like, oh my God, I'm so old. What am I going to do at 35? Like change my life, And now I'm like, okay, well, once you do that, and then once you start moving, and once you start traveling, and once you start creating things, you're like, okay, well, it's kind of limitless once we break down those limitations. And that's something that I struggle with every day. So I want to help other people because I know what it's like to feel limited. Right.
But one of my challenges, and it sounds like probably yours too, is once you get through that, oh my God, that epiphany of I could do whatever I want. I don't have to work in corporate America. I could have
Right.
my challenge now has been I do too much. And
I
now
know.
it's like I have to like I have had to tell myself in the last couple of years when I have these ideas that I cannot act on every idea I have, that I have to
Right.
like focus on the children that are already birthed, like it because it's just too hard. But my brain is constantly
Oh, yeah.
the other day I said to my husband, this was about a month ago, and we have two dogs, and I was like, why has no one made Crocs for dogs? This is ridiculous. Like somebody needs to do this. We need better dog shoes because my dogs can't walk outside when it's 110 degrees in the heat, in Palm Springs.
Right. I
And then I'm
know.
sitting there, literally, I'm bending his ear for a half an hour about this idea. And then a couple days later, I read that Crocs is making dog shoes,
Oh my
literally.
God. You see,
And I was like, they're doing it.
you
But
were
like,
too late. You didn't take action fast enough.
that's the problem. I know, right? Like, I mean, that is a challenge for people like kind of our personality, which is like go, do, get shit done. It's how to sort of balance out the doing and the productivity that makes us run with the pausing and the centering and all that other stuff we need to keep doing the doing, because otherwise you just burn out. So
Totally.
how often do you use that like something like this?
Well, I always like to recommend to my community members, we have a great private Facebook group and some other meetings that we do, is that I like to go first thing in the morning.
Like
There's
every
kind of
day,
when
almost
you
every
can,
day.
if you have a little space set up, it makes it easier. I know sometimes, I always like to relate to my city people because I understand that having a counter or a desk for some people is like unheard of,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
I
That's
get it.
like, that's luxury, right?
Exactly. So, but in the morning, it's really quite powerful because think about this. If you wake up in the morning, and first of all, now there's so many studies coming out with EMFs and, the 5G, and, hopefully you don't have your phone right next to your bed, or sometimes like me, like falling asleep with it, like right here, right? We all do it. It's fine when you're conscious of it and you can remember, put it in the basket next to the door away from the bed, right? But if you wake up in the morning and you use a little bit of your Palo Santo and you say your positive ritual, it could be, you can call it anything you want. It could just be your I am statements. If you're a very business driven, focused person, if you're like a David Goggins kind of dude, like whatever it is, I am this, I am this, I am this, or writing it down or speaking it aloud or thinking about it, light your Palo Santo, take 2 breaths in, put it in your dish, and then go to your devices.
Mm.
I guarantee you that you will have a day that is 500% better than if you would have not done that. Because what happens is we go in subconsciously, we go into a responder mode. And
Yeah.
even if and even if you're listening to this and you're like, "Well, I'm not on TikTok, I'm not on Instagram, I'm not on Facebook." Well, you have texts, you have WhatsApp, you have emails, and it
Yeah.
could be even as something as simple as, "Hey, it was so great to see you the other day. Can you come to my party next week?" And all of a sudden, you're thinking about somebody else instead of thinking about what you are doing for your creative process for the day, because it is all creative. We're all creators. We're all doing something. Everything can be a little ritual. And I know this isn't going to happen all the time, every minute of every day, right? But when we can be conscious of it and aware of it, which is our superpower as humans, to bring our awareness, our intentional focus to something, then it starts to ripple out into our daily life, because that's my wish for everybody and my goal when they use the product, that they enjoy the product, but it makes them enjoy their life better because it gave them a moment of peace. So you can use it as much as you like. A little bit in the evening too. I call it the spiritual hygiene cleanse, because everybody's like comes home, they clean, they take off their shoes, they do the dishes, they do the laundry, they organize the closet, they organize the fridge. And then it's like, what about all the energy that we absorbed? And like you said about your kids, like now, like think about the thousands of people that we like come across every day now,
Yeah.
right? Virtually, on the road. I mean, there's so many people everywhere doing a million things, and we're so bombarded constantly. We can't even process most of the information. We're so activated all the time that it's like, okay, what can I do? I can go do some movement, open up, make sure that I'm getting my cardio in, make sure that I'm doing that, and then go home and set my sacred space and just have a minute for myself. And it's not going to happen every day, but since it's easy and it only takes a second, I feel like it's something really easy to be consistent with. And it can be fun too, just to take a moment.
I love that. I mean, I think it's such good advice for anyone. Doesn't matter if you're dealing with something in your life, doesn't matter if you don't feel stressed. Trust me, it's like those
Right.
are it's almost better to do it when you're not feeling like you have to do it, because you get in the routine.
Right.
And that's probably a bit of a healthier thing to be doing anyway. Well, this has been great. I feel like we could talk forever.
I know.
So I think I do have to sort of say like, okay, we got to call it, but we can always do
Awesome.
another. Maybe we'll
I
pick it
loved
up.
it.
Yeah, we could always pick it up in a month or two and continue the conversation because it's been such a great conversation. But let's tell people where they can find you, and then I'll also
Awesome.
in the I'll add your link in the YouTube, but
Okay. Well, you can find us online at all channels at Maison Palo Santo. Maison translates to house. Palo Santo is holy wood. And we are the House of Holy Wood. You can find us online. You can find us on social media. There's a link in our bio on Instagram to all of the things. Please join our private Facebook group. We have our monthly installment of our breath bubble. So you'll appreciate this. It's on Christmas Eve at 11:30.
nice.
So if anybody's interested in joining, we breathe in a rhythm to awesome beats to supercharge our energy and find inner peace so we
Ooh.
can stay sane through the holidays. And
Oh,
I know that for some of us, it's really exciting time. And, for some of us, it can be really quite lonely. So please come and be in community and, yeah, just be with us and bring your Palo
love
Santo.
it. Thank you. I love everything you're doing and just keep doing it. Beautiful products, beautiful mission, beautiful experiences. We all need more of that in our life. So
Thank
thank
you.
you.